guys, and welcome back to the channel. Okay, today I'm going to give you a little tip or trick that I teach when I'm teaching knife skills and fire making. And I know people do this, and I'm sure there's a fancy name for it, and I don't know what the fancy name is. But what I call it is Tinder cones. Okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife, and I'm going to take a thumb-sized stick. Okay? I'm going to get up there, and I'm going to start back a couple inches back, and I'm going to start lifting up just like I'm making a fuzzy stick. Cut in, lift up, go all the way around. Just like that. And when I've gone all the way around and made that fuzzy stick, I'm going to go a little bit further out, and I'm going to start doing it again until this snaps off. Just like that. And when it gets down there and you can tell it's really close, I'm just going to grab it and give it a little tug. It's going to snap off. And you see how that kind of looks like a pine cone? I call them Tinder cones because I can sit out of one stick and fairly quickly make these. Now why? On those days when it's been wet for a couple of days and it's cold and it's nasty, and I know that all my tinder is really kind of wet, if I had picked this stick up from hanging or something so it's dry as can be in this environment, this bark is going to work against me because it's damp. So I'm going to use the back of the knife and I'm going to remove that wet bark, or at least 90% of it, you know what I mean? Go ahead and get rid of it. Now I've got my place selected where I'm going to build my fire. And like that, I'm going to strip down. Now I'm down to drier wood, right? Now I start doing that. I start creating like you would do. So how you use that and sliced off? Good sharp knife. I'm going to just use my thumb to push, and I'm going to start making these like I'm making a fuzzy stick. Keep coming in, and it's like that, it'll just pop off. Now I'm going to catch it when it does, and I'm going to start making piles of them. Because what I'm doing is, I'm cutting into the dry wood, and I'm making thin little shavings. That, remember we talked about earlier in the fire class, that is for the flame to quickly warm up, heat it up, overwhelm it, and bring it up to the combustion point and hold it there quickly so the flame will catch on this quickly and spread quickly. Why we want to make these is the environment we're in right now is wet. The air is wet. There's a whole lot of moisture. And so when I peel and bring up that thin little piece of metal, it will absorb moisture from this damp air fairly quickly. So, you know, if I got a fairly soft wood, I could make a great big feather stick. But in doing that, I'm making a big, bulky feather stick, a lot of little fine pieces that I have to do a lot of work with. These I can make quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, pop. 1, 2, 3, 4, pop. 1, 2, 3, 4, pop. Until I make up a handful of them and all them little bitty shavings. Now when I put a match into that, it's going to catch. Notice it's kind of dense that way. Flame will propagate. It'll heat each other. It'll spread that heat faster. And these little fire cones, these little tinder cones, will spread the flame quicker and catch fire quicker and generate enough heat for me to start drying out a tinder bundle or something like that to really get a sustaining fire going. So if I can find a decent stick hanging up in a tree or something that's not laying on the ground, has not absorbed a lot of moisture, if I can strip that bark off of it with the back of that knife and get down to dry wood fairly quickly, if I can then whittle quickly and make up so that I don't spend a lot of time on this. I want to be able to make a handful of those in, say, 2 to 3 minutes. I don't want a half-hour process here. I'm not trying to make a big, beautiful carving. I'm trying to make a wad right quick. And if I have to start 2 inches back and push up and roll up, that's fine. As long as I get enough of those little bitty feathers out there that whenever I pop this off, see, they're right there. They're good to go. There's a lot of airspace, a lot of surface, and a lot of thin wood that's easy for a match or flame to overwhelm and bring to that combustion point. I can have already set up my shelter, my tarp, got under it and got my place I'm going to build my fire, right? Take my hat and do this shaving into the hat to catch all those shavings, keep them dry, don't drop them on the ground. Make me up a platform of sticks that I have shaved the bark off to be the platform to build my fire upon. And then make me a little log cabin, and there in the middle of that log cabin I put those shavings, I put a match to it, and I get it burning. And then I start adding my stuff like teepee fashion on top of it. On cold, wet days, these little tinder cones, because I'm not having good luck finding fat wood. I'm not having luck finding the wood I really want. It's what I got to work with. Making tinder cones can be the difference, because in really short time I can make a hat full of that is dry, will catch a flame, and will burn easily. That's what we're out to do. And not only burn, it'll keep burning, and I can keep adding in. By stripping my next piece of wood I'm going to take up there, while that's starting to burn, I can take my knife and strip all that wet bark off of it right quick. Do a couple little feather stick hits onto it to have some starting points, and lay that up there in the flame, let that start catching. Grab my next stick, wipe off the wet bark, make fuzzy stick, lay on it, and I start building my fire. When I get a bed of coals built up that's about 18 to 20 inches across, and I got a good bed of heat there, then I don't have to be so particular. Now I can take a stick that's got that bark, and I can just knock the water off of it right quick and lay it on top, and it will dry out. I can start interlocking like a fence my wood around my fire, A, as a windbreak, and B, to dry that wood out so I can add it to the fire. And I start building. Wet weather fire building is a much longer drawn out process than dry weather fire building, because I have to bring my wood to a state where it will catch a flame and be able to burn. Hold it there at that heat point so that I can saturate and reach the dwell like I talked about, where that heat dwells there long enough to get it actually burning. 3, heat up the surrounding wood to dry it out. 4, get a big enough bed of coals that I don't have to worry about it anymore, and I can just lay it directly from the forest on top, and it will burn. That takes time, and that takes experience. Hope you've enjoyed this content, guys. If you have, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.